Hello and welcome to our briefing for candidates standing in the EUSA By Elections. Congratulations for getting this far. You should be proud of yourself for coming forward and looking to make a difference to students. In this presentation, we'll try to cover all the essentials related to running an EUSA election, introducing you to what EUSA is, tips about campaigning, explaining the voter system we use, and talking about the support we offer to candidates. Remember, this isn't the one chance you get to find out about this stuff. You can contact us at any time with questions at elections@eusa.ed.ac.uk. Here are some of the key dates in this year's by-election. We provide separate guidance about uploading candidate information to your candidate area on our website. Feel free to contact us with any questions about this. EUSA is a students' association or students' union, which means we exist to represent students' views and campaign on issues which matter to them. Provide services to students, like our bars, shops and catering outlets, our advice service and much more. Provide opportunities to students by supporting student societies, volunteering and fundraising. EUSA is a student-led organisation. We are run by our 4 sabbatical officers, whom students elect each year. We have a whole host of elected EUSA reps who represent and promote the interests of different groups of students from around the university, whether they're from a particular school, a group with specific needs like student parents and carers, or a liberation background like Black and minority ethnic students. We also offer lots of ways for all our 33,000 members to influence what we do, by getting in contact with us and attending student council. EUSA provides a publicity budget for candidates in the elections. This varies depending on what role you're standing for. School conveners and vice-conveners get £15 each, while trustees or section and liberation group conveners get £30 each. You can split this however you choose between printed materials and other items you want to buy yourself to promote your campaign. There's an online form you can complete if you'd like to order print materials through EUSA directly. Anything you buy yourself from within your budget can be claimed back from EUSA by keeping your receipts and filling in a claim form. The main thing to remember is that in order to keep the playing field level, you must not exceed your publicity budget. This means you can't top it up with your own money. There are specific areas where you're allowed to put posters, which are outlined in the election regulations. Please note that whilst you can use the lampposts around Bristow Square for posters, we've been specifically asked not to poster on the hoardings around the construction site. There are also specific rules about when and how you can campaign at Pollock, so it's also worth checking through these. It's important to avoid disturbing students who are studying, so there is no campaigning in libraries or teaching spaces. Concentrate on areas where students come to socialise. Your union buildings are great for this. There are a couple of things which we get a lot of questions about, so we've decided to clarify them here. Candidates are allowed to give out sweets or other consumable items as long as they have been purchased within their publicity budget. It's important to offer those to anyone you're talking to about your candidacy, not just those who agree to vote for you in return. It's also fine for societies to endorse a particular candidate among their members, as long as they don't spend any resources in doing so. The best way to promote yourself is to get out and talk to people. Go to places where students gather socially, including targeting societies and clubs. Research tells us how much of a difference it can make if you get out there and interact with voters. Most students vote for a specific candidate because that candidate made contact with them somehow, in person or online, and appealed to them with their manifesto. We have election regulations to make sure that every candidate has a fair and equal chance to promote their campaign. They're mostly common sense, so it should be easy enough to stay within if you keep them in mind. As has been mentioned, there are specific areas where you're allowed to display posters, so please stick to these. It can get hectic, but there is enough room for everyone. It's important not to exceed your campaigning budget to make sure that everyone has the same resources available to them. This includes not getting for free anything which another candidate could not also get for free. Remember that the law of the land and university rules always apply too, and please make yourself familiar with the university's dignity and respect policy, as well as EUSA's safe place policy. If you're unsure about something, check the election regulations. Still unsure? Drop into Potero or email us. Not knowing the rules will not be accepted as an excuse for breaking them. NUS provides us with a returning officer to ensure that candidates and EUSA abide by our rules. Charlotte's role is to oversee the election process, ensuring fairness and compliance with our election regulations. The regulations outline the complaints process for candidates, in the rare event that there is a dispute between candidates. A breach of our regulations does not mean instant disqualification, and the returning officer has discretion on sanctions, although minor breaches can lead to significant sanctions if they're repeated or combined with other offences. Charlotte may make a ruling on an issue during the election period if there is doubt about how to deal with it. EUSA uses a transferable voting system, which may sound more complex, but is quite straightforward in practice. It's all about finding consensus about which candidate or candidates voters want to take up a position. Voters rank candidates in order of preference, putting a 1 next to their first preference, a 2 next to their second, and so on. For multiple positions, this is called the single transferable vote, while for single positions, this is called the alternative transferable vote. Candidates are elected when they meet the required quota of votes. The quota is calculated by dividing the number of votes by the number of available positions plus 1. If there is 1 vacant position, a candidate needs half of the votes to be elected. We are keen to provide as much support as possible to candidates during the election period, so that everyone enjoys the experience and feels they've had a fair chance of winning their election. There's lots of information and advice on the EUSA website about campaigning. We will also be running drop-in sessions in Potterrow and KB in the run-up to the campaigning period for candidates to find out more about the elections and ask any questions. During the campaigning period, we run the Candidates Cafe, where candidates can take a break from campaigning with a free cup of coffee to chat to sabbatical officers, staff, and other candidates about how things are going. As always, if you have a question about the elections, feel free to pop into the EUSA office in Potterrow or drop us an email. Remember to look after yourself during the election period. Taking the elections seriously doesn't mean not enjoying yourself. It's also very achievable to run a great campaign without compromising on your studies. You'll have a great time chatting to new people about why you think you're perfect for the role you're standing for. Here's a quick reminder of the key dates in the election period. Good luck, and remember to have fun.